Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to the Insider Insight Show. It's my honor to have back with me someone who has, she's been thrust into the national spotlight, not just state spotlight, but the national spotlight. And many times when something bad occurs in our lives, we ask God, why is this happening to me? Why am I having to go through this? And sometimes the answer takes many years for us to figure out why a particular event happened in our lives. Well, when it comes to my guest, State Representative Karen Whitsett, actually that answer has come pretty quick of the trials and tribulations she's been through just in the past month or so. And the positive impact that Karen has had on every American because she had the courage to tell her story and relate what she went through. And in so doing, she benefits every American. You know, I've been involved in doing healthcare policy consulting for over 30 years. I'm an old guy, as you know. But I am unaware of someone who's involved in the political world that has had a more profound effect as it relates to end every American's healthcare freedoms as my guest, Representative Karen Whitsett. Karen, welcome to our show.
Geez, that introduction. I don't know if I'm worthy.
Yes,
Thank you.
No, Karen, you are. You're very modest and you're very humble. And this is what's so interesting about you. I've done a lot of research on Karen Whitsett, the person who is representing the 9th District in the state of Michigan in the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. I'm going to sum this up real quick. You care more about other people than you do yourself. And that makes you a very unique individual. I am very hard-pressed to bring someone on my series of shows that's in the political world. And the reason is because when I survey the landscape, and you take all the R and D after take all that out of it. That all goes away. When it comes down to it, the vast majority, and this I care more about their own self-interests than they do the people. And you are an exception to that rule. And I thank you for having the courage to be that exception. Karen, educate our viewers. How did you get involved in becoming the state representative for the 9th District in Michigan?
It was not on purpose. I can definitely tell you that it was definitely not on purpose. My husband and I, we started out just doing a block club and trying to do board up cleanups in our neighborhood. We started with just our one block. And that's how we started things. And we started it out with a challenge to our mayor to come over and see what we're doing, to come care about what it is that we're doing in our area. And we challenged, and I told him that he wasn't doing enough for our community. And he said, well, what are you doing? And I said,
well, let me show you.
Let me show you. Here's a flyer. Uh-huh. Bam, this is what we're doing. And he was like, oh, this is tomorrow. And I said, yes, it's tomorrow. And although he had a very busy schedule, he said, I'll be there. And he came.
And that would be Mayor Duggan, correct?
Mayor Duggan.
You got to give him credit. He does get his boots. He does get his boots wet, doesn't he?
Yes, I give him credit. And he came and he spent time in the neighborhood. And I told him all the stories of the people in my community, especially the people who have been here and had longevity, because my husband and I both have been here since 1965. I'm in the home that I grew up in. Wow. And my in-laws still live a few doors down. So we have family that are in and around the neighborhood. So it's a special place in my heart. So to try to work in the community, to want to restore the community the way that I know that it should be, means a great deal to me and my husband, Jason. It's imperative to us.
And Karen, your district that you represent, it's Detroit and a portion of Dearborn, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how many constituents do you have?
Around 93,000.
93,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's, as you know, Southeast Michigan has become a viral hotspot.
Yes, it is.
Okay. And let's first speak about, before we talk about what you went through and your husband went through, let's talk about your district and the impact of the virus on your community. Because, Karen, I have taken a lot of heat from folks that aren't in hotspots when I talk about the severity of the illness. Many people
I understand that. I can understand you taking the heat.
So educate our viewers on the impact of this, because you're right in the center of the viral hotspot in your district. Educate our listeners on the impact on your district.
Let me first say that I do sympathize with those who have sheltered in place and done the things that they're supposed to do, and they have been doing it for a very long time. I clearly understand, and my heart goes out to them because it is not easy to do, especially for this extended period of time. So I do understand. From where I live at in Detroit and part of Dearborn, it is not a support area, and it is financially challenged. So when you say shelter in place, the very things that you take for granted, such as being able to, one, shelter in place and being able to purchase groceries for a week to 2 weeks. The people in my community do not have the ability to be able to do that, the mass majority. So our liquor stores and our gas stations are open for that very reason. People go to the store every day. Every single day, you're seeing people go to the store, not because they want to. They go out of necessity because, one, they don't likely have a refrigerator, and likely they don't have a stove to cook on. So my husband and I, we have been getting confection stoves delivered, toaster ovens delivered to us at our home. Our home is filled with those right now so that we can pass them out when we start passing out food. We're pulling out a call to action for many refrigerators for that very reason, because people don't have refrigerators. And it's very hard to get access to one right now as this virus is going on. This is not something that's simple to get your hands on. But these are the very things that we take for granted, that we think, hey, shelter in place should be not a big deal. Go get the supplies that you need. Everyone does not have that luxury. They can't go and stock up on toilet paper and paper towel and the necessities to be able to do so. Where you have a few members in your family, and maybe 2, maybe you have 5 people in your family. Well, a lot of people have 12 members in their family sheltering in place, and they don't have the financial means to be able to do so. So my heart goes out to those that have done the right thing and have been sheltering in place. I understand, and I feel you. I honestly do feel you. But right now, we're struggling down here in Detroit. The testing is not adequate. People are being turned away from the hospitals, where your hospitals don't have anyone in there. So I get it. I get it. But family, right now, Black people are disproportionately being turned away from hospitals and are not being tested because they don't have enough test kits here. So they may not have symptoms, or they may have mild symptoms, and they're being sent home to die. And this is the reality of what's happening in the city of Detroit, and it's heartbreaking, and it's happened to my own family. And this has to stop. We just lost a 5-year-old little girl yesterday in the city of Detroit that's in my district. This has to stop. It's heartbreaking.
Karen, you had your own bout with the virus, and and your husband as well.
Yeah.
Take our listeners through your bout and your husband's bout with this, because it was quite severe.
It's very severe, and I'm still going through. I am COVID-19 negative, but because I have underlying health conditions such as I'm diabetic and I have chronic Lyme disease, I'm still going through. It's caused a flare with my Lyme disease. So it's something that I'm still battling right now. But a very brief synopsis of it is that, March 12th, started self-quarantining. March 18th, went to the doctor's office, thought I had a sinus infection, did an x-ray, thought maybe I had a touch of pneumonia, started, antibiotic, amoxicillin, got to a point where I was like about 4 days out on the amoxicillin left, was not feeling any better, got the Z-Pack, started feeling worse than ever. Requested to have the COVID virus test. I was having just still the massive headache, which is something that I still suffer with. having the massive headache, sweats that were unbelievable, neck pain, muscle ache. My husband and I, we went to get the testing. My husband had the cough. That was something that he suffered with for 5 days. My husband doesn't have any underlying health conditions, does not take any medication. I'm the one with all the issues. So
that's the way it always is.
Something like that. So we go and we get the testing hope to get it on March 30th. We were not able to get it because you have to have a prescription to be able to get the test at the state fairgrounds, which is completely wrong on all levels. Got the testing done March 31st. When we got that testing done, that was the day that the Governor Gretchen Whitmer, put the order in place regarding the hydroxychloroquine. That was the day that I also plummeted, and my initial doctor who wrote the COVID prescription refused to give me the hydroxychloroquine. I knew that if I went to the hospital with the way my breathing became labored, how much trouble I was in, 9 times out of 10, I was not coming out the hospital. That is my story. That's my feeling. That's my gut instinct. And that's what my gut instinct is telling me. I'm not saying that is a doctor's diagnosis. This is my gut instinct, and that was my doctor's diagnosis that I called and I consulted with over the telephone. And that's why he prescribed the hydroxychloroquine.
Yet your first doctor, Karen, when you specifically asked your first doctor for the doctor said no. He said no. The reason being, what was the reason that they gave you?
The reason being was because the governor's executive order. And I explained to him.
So the governor's executive order was that hydroxychloroquine.
It was for hoarding.
It was
for hoarding. The executive order was for hoarding, but he misinterpreted the executive order. And I said, how are you going to argue with a lawmaker about the law? I'm explaining to you it's for hoarding. You're misinterpreting the law. And I sent it to him. State Representative Annette Glenn, same thing, contacted him. I had the lieutenant governor's office contact him to explain to him, you're misinterpreting the law. He told me that he would have to have someone else look at it, another doctor, and that he would write the prescription tomorrow. I said, tomorrow I won't be here.
So you ended up you were that, as you well know, underlying conditions, as you had, the Lyme disease, longstanding, diabetes, having the symptoms you were having that were escalating, that things were going south in a hurry.
Oh, it was, and that's the scary part about this condition. You know, it goes from 0 to 100 in no time.
That's right.
That is the frightful thing about it, because you don't have a lot of time to think. So when people say that, and you hear the stories of how someone ends up going to the hospital and end up immediately being put on a ventilator, it's real.
It is real.
Very real.
My friends, as I've been involved in medicine for 36 years, I have friends still on the front line taking care of people, and that's exactly what they say.
Yeah, you may walk in that hospital, but you're getting put on that ventilator, and it happens in a matter. It's no time, or the person dies.
So, Karen, how did you know to ask for hydroxychloroquine?
I had experience with hydroxychloroquine being on Lyme disease and dealing with Lyme disease, and it is what saved me, because I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk at one point in my life dealing with chronic Lyme disease. But if it was not for the President of the United States making it at the forefront, it would not have been an option. And like I say, it was the day that the governor put down her executive order.
Now, Karen, how soon after you started taking the hydroxychloroquine did you notice symptomatic benefit?
Within hours.
Hours.
Within hours. And by the next day, it was unbelievable. I was ready to clean my house. You
were. So you went from just trying to breathe to, hey, I'm ready to do some chores.
I mean, I'm telling you, it sounds so insane, but the way it works and the way my doctor explained it to me and how it takes down the inflammation is so unbelievable. How and then I mean, just how it works. And all I could think of was, well, Jesus, how long was I not breathing right?
Right.
You know, how long because it creeped up on me.
Yeah.
How long
Right.
how long was I struggling
Yeah.
with not breathing properly?
That's right.
I mean, I was sitting there in that moment, scared to death. And like I tell anyone, I pride myself. I am from Detroit. My blood type is Old English D.
Tough.
I'm not afraid of anything.
Right.
I'm telling you, once I took that medication, all I could think of was like, my God, how long really was I not breathing correctly?
Yeah, Karen, there are people out there, when I talk about the benefits of hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin, with zinc, and there are a number of studies now through one of the top infectious disease experts in the world, Dieter Renaud from Marseille, France, last series being 1,061 patients, that shows that this is, in fact, if you catch it, the disease early enough, not when somebody's already on a ventilator.
Right.
But if you catch it early enough, you can prevent people from coming in the hospital. You can prevent people from getting intubated, tube down their throat, prevent people from having to go on a ventilator, and prevent people from dying. There are people that say there isn't really much evidence that hydroxychloroquine really is effective. And this is all urban legend and all puffs of smoke that the president has come up with. That, in fact, is not accurate, is it, Karen?
Okay. Well, you know what? When you have a choice between a ventilator and a pill,
give me the pill. You got it. Now, Karen,
you make a decision.
I'm with you 110%.
When you have a choice, when it's you or your family member, and you have a choice between that ventilator and a pill.
That's right.
You make that choice for yourself. I'm not pushing a pill down anyone's throat. You make a choice.
Well, and Karen, the evidence is unequivocal. I mean, Dieter Renaud's work is unequivocal on the benefits of the hydroxychloroquine.
Like I say, it has worked for our military.
Yep.
It works for lupus.
Yes.
It works for arthritis.
Yes.
And it has worked for Lyme disease.
That's right. And it has worked for coronavirus. Now, Karen, the Detroit Free Press wrote a great article about you, of which you ended up taking grief for. And here's the headline. Detroit rep says hydroxychloroquine and President Trump helped save her life amid the COVID-19 fight. Karen, tell me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. But you got grief.
Still am.
Right? Continue, and I'm sure will continue. But you got grief, continue to get grief, for essentially saying thank you. Tell me if I'm wrong, but saying thank you to the president for putting a spotlight on hydroxychloroquine as a potential option in folks that have this significant problem. Am I wrong?
The president of the United States.
Yes.
He's the president of the United States of America.
Right. And you got grief for saying thank you. Am I wrong on that? Yeah. People made thank you a political boogeyman.
Yeah, it's espionage.
Oh.
I'm doing something so completely wrong, and I have crossed party lines, and I have become a Republican simply because I said thank you.
And you pointed out to folks the benefits of this treatment that will potentially benefit millions of people knowing that piece of information.
Yeah.
Now, Karen, you ended up going to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And I saw it on live TV. There was President Trump sitting, social distancing, 6 feet away from you.
Yes, he was.
Right? And there you were, I believe, in the cabinet room.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us about that.
That was an experience of a lifetime. And I am not going to be ashamed of enjoying the experience of a lifetime that I had with my husband, to be able to share that moment with him and to experience that with other survivors that I would have never had the opportunity to cross paths with.
Now, Karen, when I watched that interaction of you with President Trump, it was very moving to me. And tell me if I read this wrong. his treatment of the interaction between the two of you and your husband seemed to be one of someone who cared about you, what happened to you,
Yeah.
and the value of your courage in bringing that situation forward about what helped you and got you through one of the most difficult times, if not the most difficult time in your life.
He was kind. He was considerate. He was welcoming into his home. He offered his doctor to me.
I heard that. He said, oh, we should have you talk to my doctors about your Lyme disease.
That's how I'm getting treated for Lyme disease, because you cannot get treated in the way that you should be treated here in Michigan for Lyme disease. So his doctor is actually working with my doctor for Lyme disease. So I am in the process of being treated.
So there were people that said that was a publicity stunt, that he wasn't going to follow through on his offer to you about helping you with your Lyme disease.
You know what? He is helping me. He's very kind. He's very considerate. I think he's a very compassionate man. And I think that people read him very wrongly.
Now, I'm going to ask you something, Karen. You mentioned when we started out that you were born and bred, you're a Detroit person. You're Detroit, don't take this wrong, Detroit girl.
Yes.
Tough, okay?
That's right.
All right.
That's good.
Karen, you've been through heck and high water since 1965.
69. Don't
69.
put me back that far.
69. All right. Since 1969. In your time living in Detroit, you've come across people that we'll classify as racist. Oh,
Yeah.
What's the puppy's name?
This is Justice.
Justice? Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Justice. What kind of puppy is Justice?
Justice is a Rottweiler.
Oh, there you go. That's good protection for Karen. So you've come across people that we might consider to be racist.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that have characterized the president as being a racist. Now, let me tell you something. If there's anybody that can pick this out in a fast minute, it's someone who's grown up in Detroit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I've experienced racism.
Did you get the feeling that he was a racist?
No, I don't get the feeling that he's racist. I think he's just like anyone else who's from a neighborhood. You know, he's from where? Brooklyn?
Yeah. Or Bronx, I think. Yeah.
Bronx or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the feeling from anyone who's from a neighborhood, like me being from Detroit.
Yeah.
You know, when people back you into a corner, you call names.
You fight.
Yeah, you fight.
My family was from the south side of Chicago.
You're going to call names.
Guess what? That's right. That's how business is done, right?
You take people down to their knees and you hit them where it hurts.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, it's not always great. It's not always nice. It's not politically correct.
Right.
But that's what you do, you know. So I get it. Now, is it always great? Is it always should some of the things that he says, should it be some of the things that he actually says? Probably not.
Nope.
But you know what? There's a lot of things that I do and I say that probably aren't the greatest things in the world. And I'm sure I'm going to have plenty of regrets, and I'm sure I have things that I'm going to regret. And I'm sure I have plenty of things that people say I should regret, like saying thank you to the President of the United States. Oh, well.
How did it, when the cameras were off, how did he leave it with you?
He was, he said, okay, now we've gotten rid of them.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
He was just funny. He's got the greatest sense of humor. He is hilarious. He's a joy to be around. He actually is, like I say, he's a very caring human being. And I think he wants the best for all of us.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
And he's like anybody else. He wants respect.
Mm-hmm.
What human being doesn't want respect?
It's true.
What human being doesn't want to be appreciated for what they're doing? And what human being doesn't want to be respected and appreciated for the job that they're doing? Who wants to be belittled, put down, or talked behind their back for the job that they're doing and trying to do?
Karen,
I mean,
when it was all said and done, and you were walking out of the White House with your husband, what was the first thing you said to your husband? What was the first thing he said to you?
it was just, wow. Did this really just happen? Like, wow. I mean, and it felt amazing because I didn't feel it was for us. I felt it was a wonderful opportunity to be able to represent my city and to represent the people here and to tell their stories and to let him know, honestly, what I felt our governor is doing and not doing. And I felt that if I didn't get that out and if I didn't tell him and the vice president, he would never know. And I think that is the only reason why our governor has stepped up her game here within a day.
And you know what, Karen? I agree with you 110%. Because do you no, the power of that meeting was enormous for Michigan, for Detroit, for our country. Because you know what? When it's all said and done, I think he sees himself as a fighter.
He is a fighter.
And he met another fighter. In Karen.
He is a fighter. But he believes in the truth. He believes in the truth.
Yeah.
And that's all he wants is the truth. He wants fairness and he wants the truth. And my thing was, in all honesty, is that I was not about to allow him to get played. I saw it happen after Katrina.
Yep.
I saw it happen with President Bush after Katrina. I was in Mississippi and after Katrina, and I watched how the route that they were going to take President Bush on, I watched how they cleaned that route up. They cleaned it up so that he wouldn't see the mess. They moved everything in 3 and 4 blocks inward. So that he would not see
the devastation.
You're only as good as the information you receive.
That's exactly it.
And I wasn't about to allow him. And this is not about Republican or Democrat.
No.
This is about the information that is at hand because we're talking about people's lives. And they don't have a D or R, an independent or a teacup. They don't have no other party behind them.
That's right.
They're dying. And these are loved ones that are not a number. They can't come back. These people's lives are forever. These families' lives are forever changed. And it can't be undone when we get done with this pandemic. They're not coming back. So I was not going to sit idly by and let the President of the United States get played by our governor.
Now, Karen, have you seen any indication that the president is following through and Vice President Pence is following through with what you discussed at the White House with them about a week ago?
Absolutely, because I know that the governor had to have gotten called on the carpet. That's the reason why she went from a 20% request for federal dollars to 100% yesterday. Absolutely. That is why testing is now being available to anybody that has a symptom. Absolutely. That's why CVS and Rite Aid are going to be doing testing. Absolutely.
So to all those people that say, well, that was a photo op, he's not going to follow through, Pence isn't going to follow through, the administration isn't going to follow through. In fact, they already have followed through and are continuing to follow through.
They already have. And I don't think they're done yet.
And I don't either. And I'll make a prediction. That cell phone of yours that I bug you on, one of these days that's going to ring. One of these days real soon, I bet. And the other guy on the phone, it ain't going to be Dave Janda bugging you. It's going to be the President of the United States checking up to see how you're doing and what's happening in the district, in the city.
I believe that. He's already called me once, and I expect a call from him again.
So he already called you once?
Yes. He's followed up with me once, and I expect to have a call from him again.
Yeah, I think you're going to have a bunch of calls. Karen, in our concluding couple minutes here, you've been very generous with your time, and your husband's been very generous.
Problem. You know I enjoy talking to you.
You know, I enjoy talking to you, too. You're a wonderful person. You have a wonderful heart. Karen, what do you want people to walk away from our interview with about as it relates to the virus?
I want people to walk away understanding that I understand how hard this is, especially when you start going to the upper parts of Michigan. Hold people accountable. Hold them to the fire. While you're doing that, fight for us down here in Detroit. Hold the governor to the fire because she's not fighting for Detroit. She is not doing it. And, you know, yeah, it's a black thing. I'm going to just tell you how it is. I'm going to just say it how it is. If you are ignoring us, we're the majority down here.
Yes, you are.
And you're not caring, and people are dying. You're not making sure we're getting testing. You're not making sure our needs are met. I don't know what else you want me to call it. But all I know is that we need help. This is nowhere near the beginning, and we're nowhere near the end. So I am asking you to hold her to the fire. That's what I'm calling you to do. Blow up her office phone. Blow up her email.
And every governor's phone.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And this is a very important... This is very...
Anybody you don't like what they're doing, hold them accountable.
Karen, this is very important. What you just said, everything you said is important, but this is very critical. Many people say, oh, I'm one person. Me making a phone call isn't going to make a difference. In fact, it does make a difference.
Oh, it makes a huge difference. I'm sorry the sun is beaming in through the window.
No, you're good.
No, but it matters. It matters. I mean, that one phone call, you have no idea. That one phone call that I get makes my day when somebody says thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for using your voice. That one phone call, oh my goodness, when the day has been so rough, makes a difference. So to be able to let her know when you're not doing your job, when you're leaving Black people behind, yes, tell her. Tell her. Because that's what's happening to us. We're being left behind to die. And this is the United States of America. Enough is enough.
And Karen, what you did is you took a devastating illness that almost took your life, that impacted your husband's life in a very negative manner.
Yeah.
But both of you took that and you found a way to take that sickness and make it to a point where you could benefit millions of people in Detroit, in the state of Michigan, and throughout every state in the United States of America. And it's because you had the courage not only to fight the disease, but to go beyond the disease and fight what was right and putting the information out for everyone to utilize for their own benefit. And I thank you for that, because the majority of people, Karen, especially folks that are in the political realm, would have looked at the negatives of them being so upfront as you have been, and they would have backed off. And instead, you pushed down harder on the accelerator. And I thank you for that courage.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, and in one of our conversations I had with you, I'll leave our interview with this. I mentioned that I've been involved in healthcare for 36 years and in the world of prevention and healthcare cost containment and wellness initiatives. And in my 36 years, I'm unaware of a single person in the political world that has had the positive impact that you have had on our country.
Thank you.
It's the truth. I thank you, and I join you in this fight 24/7 of making Detroit whole, our state whole, and our country whole. Because, as you said, this is not about Republican and Democrat.
Right.
This is about the health and welfare of 320 million people.
People over politics.
Now, Karen, I'm sure that there are a number of people that want. You do have a website? Do you have what can they do to help support you in your efforts?
Well, right now we are fundraising to purchase laptops. Apple is graciously trying to work with us to be able to purchase laptops for children that have fallen through the cracks, which is horrible because they are not able to do their homework right now. So these are charter school children that do not fall under Detroit public school system. So they're basically, it was brought to my attention that there's a mother of four. All four of her children are using her cell phone to do their homework.
And you have a website for that?
Yes, it is called Laptops with an S, Detroit Kids with an S.com.
And you also have a GoFundMe.
.org. It's GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.com.
Yes.
/ raise money who need laptops, I think it's called.
Yes. Yes. Yes, so that is very important to me. We're doing a lot with that. We've raised, it's over 10,000 on there. There's over 12,000 that we've raised total. And we're looking to try to increase that goal so that we can purchase 500 laptops. And so that is the goal. And anybody who wants to send a mini refrigerator
or a convection oven,
or a convection oven, they are welcome to send it to my home. We will take that. Now,
do you want to give your address or no?
I don't mind giving the address.
All right, fire ahead.
It is 11406 Littlefield, which is one word, Littlefield Street, and that is Detroit, Michigan 48227. That's again 11406 Littlefield Street, Detroit, Michigan 48227. And please, you can send them. I get the alerts that they're coming. And the mini size that come from dorms are perfect, or convection ovens of any size are perfect, because people do not have refrigerators and they do not have stoves. So it makes a difference in someone's lives to be able to have something in their homes to be able to cook and to be able to store a little bit of stuff in.
Karen, I'd like to thank you for everything you have done, everything you're doing, and everything that you will do.
Thank you.
My dad's favorite statement in life was dream big and dare to fail. Because when you dare to fail, you put it all on the line. Karen, you are the epitome of that statement. You have dreamed big, you have dared to fail, and in the process, you have helped and will continue to help millions of people in Detroit, in the state of Michigan, and throughout the United States. I thank you.
Thank you before you make me cry.
Well, you make me proud.
Thank you.
You take care, and I thank you, folks, for your time. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.